Hello viewers, welcome back to this tutorial. Today we are going to start our Microsoft Office Excel, and all our practices will be using MS Office Excel 2016. You may ask me why then choosing 2016. Usually 2016 is enriched in beta charts, collaborations, data loss protection. There are some new features like Tell Me and Smart Lookup, which are very useful to someone who is not expert, or why not expert also in this. We'll be also seeing the text line in a cell, the enhanced pivot table, the Mat Select slicer. All of these are present in MS Office Excel 2016 and 2019. So the agenda of this series will be talking about the overview. Secondly, we'll be going into advanced functions and formulas. Then after that, we'll be navigating through custom and conditional formatting. Thereafter, we'll be going to data analysis. And lastly, but not the least, we'll be navigating through VBA and macros. But here we'll be having like the introduction, not the professional learning of VBA and macros. So let's get started. So the first thing that we are going to do, we are going to open our Microsoft Office Excel. As we have seen it in Word, when we've been studying Word, MS Office Word, we've been seeing that we can click here on Start on this Windows logo for those who are using Windows machine. Then we write Excel. After writing Excel, we'll be seeing your Excel coming in. Or you can also come here, then you type, you just click on Excel if it is pinned on your taskbar. We are having too many ways to open it, then it depends on the way that is suitable to you. I'm going to open my Microsoft Office Excel. So as we have seen also in Word, we can see that it will be giving you the recent documents, but also here there are some templates that you can use. You can see like those loan amortization table. If you are going to prepare like this loan amortization, for example, the loan amount is 10 million. The annual interest rate, it is 10%. Loan period, I will be paying in 4 years. Number of payments per year, I will be paying in semesters, which means two payments per year. The start date of the loan, let me say for example it is 0109/2020. This is an example. And optional extra payment, let me say for example it is 0. So let me say for example the loan periods per year, let me say 10 years, in 10 years. So you can see as long as then I change here, then also my loan amortization table get changed. You can see like this is like a template that you can use. But then we'll be seeing how can we prepare like this one. How can we prepare like a loan amortization table like this one, or a report that will be covering all that this template is covering. Okay. So here then I am going to open. Here I have my employee information. So as you can see, this is my employee information. So the first thing that we are going to do, we can say, okay, this is it, but let me say, for example, here we have the salary, and the salary can be let me say 100,000. $150,000. Assume that this is our table, and here, for example, I am going to I want to bold it, want to put all the borders, and I want to zoom in. We can also use this zoom as it is found in Microsoft Office Word. So the first thing that we are going to do, these are my formulas. So let me start with the sum. So how does sum works? Usually sum will be helping you to get the summation of certain or a range of values. For example, you can say, for example, I want the sum for this only from the first person, from person number this to person 10, which is this one. So for example, I want the sum of these people. So if then I want the sum of these people, so you understand that then it will be equal. The first thing that we need to remember, every time if we want to apply a function, then we need to start with equal, then sum, we open our parentheses, so we put from this number to which one, to this, which means I am going to start from I, which is this column name, I, which number, I2, to I11. Then if I press enter, then it will be giving me this one. The same, I can come it and then I say is equal to sum, equal sum, the first one, comma, second one, comma, third one, comma, till you reach to the last one. Then once you reach to the last one, then you can then press enter. So when you press enter, you can see that it will be giving you the same number as the other one that we had before. So we are having too many ways that we can use in order to sum up our things, and it depends on the methodology that you want to use. When you are using sum, you can use sum value 1, value 2, value 3, value 4, value 5 till you reach to the end value. All you can say sum, you put the range first, the first number, value first, or the first value, but is range first, then and range the range last, which means when you are using this way you use columns, or when you are using this way you use comma. So sometimes then you want to have, like, let me say, sum of all employee, let me say for example the sum of all salaries. So also it will be the same. We need to start with sum, equal sum. Then here we say I, only you click here, then it will also give you the total salaries of the employees. So why, like here, if you come here, we're seeing that is I, which means it has taken everything from this column I. The goodness of this one is that if you have used the other comma methodology, then it will be a bit difficult. Like here, or if you have used the other way of columns, also it will be giving you some errors if you come to the addition of your data. Like here, if I add another, let me say for example 1000, so you can see that after I change this one here, also it will be changing. Let me say for example it is only 100, 1 million. So you can see that here also my 1 million is changing here. So whatever that I can change from this I column, then it will change to my value, which is good when you are expecting your data to be changed or to be modified or to be edited in the future. The second, then, it is for SUMIF. SUMIF, it will be helping you to get the sum of certain values, but then according to the condition. This is it, SUMIF. But SUMIF, as you can see, it will be having one condition. Let me say for example you want the summation of all salaries for the employee earning less than 200,000, which means it will be equal SUMIF. When you open the blanket, usually it will be giving you the options. You first need to put the range, then the criteria for the sum range. So here, which means I am going to select from where, from this I, but then there should be a condition. Which condition is there? Then my condition will be salary less than 200, less than or equal or less than 200,000. After this I close my parenthesis, then I press enter, which means it is 1 million. Let me see, this is 2, 3, 4, then 7, 1 million. Why I didn't take this 200? It is because I said less than, I didn't say less than or equal. So if you didn't say then less than or equal, you understand that it will not count it. But when you say less than or equal, then it will also count all of these 4. As you can see here, there are 4 times 200, which is 800, which means it will be now 1M800. This is for SUMIF. Then here we'll be having another one, which is SUMIFs. This SUMIF works when you are having one condition, but SUMIFs works when you are having more than one criteria. Let me say for example you've been told to find the total salaries paid to employees in sales department, but those employees are working from South region and their salaries should be greater than 100, which means we are having our criterias. The first criteria, it should be that will be the sales department. The second, it will be the region. The third one, it will be the salary. But then we'll be having this total salary of them. So here we go. So then SUMIFs. Here will be SUMIFs. Then from here, we are going first of all to search for what? The total salary. Then this total salary, this total salary, it will be for the people who are in sales department. This is an example, but here we don't have sales, but let me say, for example, production department, but then here we will be needing a department called production. Then in this production, okay, these people should be working in south, but production, yes, production that are working in south, so which means the region should be south. Then lastly, their salaries should be greater to 100. Salary should be greater than 100,000. After this, I close my parenthesis, then I press enter, which means this is the summation of the salaries of the employees who are earning more than 100 and they are belonging in production department, and the region of their duty is in south, which means when you are having many criteria, you understand that you'll be using some ifs. Okay, so this is the example. Then you can also do some practices in order to get to this or to know much more. Okay, here then we go. So the other one that we are going to work on is the minimum, maximum, average, concatenate, okay, which one else? So here we'll be having too many functions to explore, but then we'll be going step by step. So this next one is the minimum. How do we find the minimum? So the minimum from this salary, so we need to put this one here. We select min. Here there will be number 1, number 2, number 3, the same. Then we'll be doing like this. So the minimum, it will be 50,000. So here we can say, okay, let us see if we have here 50,000. Then here will be just, okay, let me see if I have 50,000. Then you can see, oh, we have here 50,000, which means it is the smallest. So here then the maximum, it is the same, will be equal sign max. Then the maximum, usually it will be 1,500,000 something, 90 something, which is this last one. So the minimum also works. Then the average, it is the same. Average, here we be having what you mean by average, average A, average if, average ifs. Average works when you are having numerical numbers only, or yes, numbers. Average A works when you are having a mixture of numbers with characters. Average if works when you want to search for the average together with the condition, as we have seen on sum. Average ifs works when you want to search for the average and more than one condition. Let's start with the average. Okay, What about then the average if? Average A, average if, and average ifs. What is the difference between these things? So usually, as you can see them, they are a bit different, but also there are some similarities that we can get from this. So the same here, we get to average. Average on average, we don't have any problem, just because we have seen how everything works. But then we go to average A. How does it works? Like here, so if there is anything, any character or anything, then it is the same on sum. Here it is on sum all sum ifs. Then here we can also have the sum A. Like when you say sum A, here for example, I want to sum up these things from here, then here it will just only be given those boolean numbers 0 and 1 in order to count. It is the same as count A. Let me for example say, okay, I want to count this one. So usually what I know is that I am having how many employees? I am having 136 employees. So if I use count, then for example I come here to count, I say okay, equal count, then I count this one. Usually it will give me the exact number, which is 136. So here it ignored this first one. But also if I have like here, let me say for example, let me say we had something like Zainau, you can see that it will not count it because it is not a numerical value. So which means then for it to be counted, it should be numerical. But sometimes we may say, okay, we want to count these people, but usually because it is not containing numerical values, then we'll be using count A. So into your count A, you will just be putting this one, then you press enter. But here it will be giving us 137. Why? Because it will also read the header. So what we need to do to apply so that we can correct all the errors, we'll be removing 1, which means it is for the header. If you know that your data having the data headers, then you need to remove or to subtract 1 to get the correct and the real answer. So here on count if, sometimes we need to count but with a condition, and also count ifs. Okay, we'll be seeing everything then. Continuing to count function, then let me just go to count if function. Let me say for example I want to count all the employees earning more than 100, which means here I will need to put a condition of more than 100. I close this and I close this. So it is 131. Why? Because here I have the 4 employees together with the other one with 540 who is not earning more than 100, which means count if function will be like that. So let me say for example I want to know the people who are earning more than 100 but also they are belonging in North region. So the same, so here will be countifs, and on my countifs it will be on the salary. The salary should be greater than 100. Not this only, but also the region should be, let me say, north. So it is not case sensitive. Whatever you want, you can write it. So here we are only having 24, which means count A, count if, and count ifs, they are like the same with some if, some A, and some ifs. So then let's continue with our formulas. Let's go on concatenate. If you want to concatenate the numbers, it will take them as characters. But let me say, for example, here they have given us an assignment to have the full names of the employees. Before the department, they want us to have the full names of the employees. What we need to do, as you can see here, the first one is Josue Kalangwa. So we'll be using concatenate in order to join these two names together, Karangwa, or let me start with Joshua, comma, then Kalangwa. I press enter. But here, as you can see, they are coming as one name, which is an error. We need to put a space between. So you need to come back to your formula. Then you say, okay, concatenate Josue, comma, I put the space, comma, then I put the second name, then I close my bracket. Then here now it will be very good. So then here you can even just say, I want the first one, all of them, or the first one to be to lower. So you can also do the same. You can concatenate. You lower this B2. You can say, okay, the first name, I lowered it. So whatever you want, you can do it. You can do whatever, but what we need only to do in Excel, we only do the first one, and the other ones will be done. So here I write down just because we did it. Okay, so coming back to our formulas, we can go to square roots. Sometimes we can search for the square root of, for example, of 100. So it will be giving you this one. So we go to average, average A, average if, and average ifs. So here on average A, it is the same. We want to know the average of this the average salary. But then, for example, let me say, for example, the average of region. If you press enter, usually it will be giving you 0. Why? Because whenever there is something, it will be putting 0, or whenever there's something, it will be putting 1, and when there is nothing, it will be putting 0. So usually, as we know, the average, sometimes there's somewhere that we can need it when we are having character values, but also we know that the average is applicable to numerical values. But sometimes then when you want it, understand that it will be using that technology. The same as count. When you are counting, where there is those numbers. Okay, these numbers are characters. So the average, if then, it will be helping you when you want to search for the average, but with a condition. Let me say, for example, want to search for the average of salaries, but where the salary is greater than the salary is greater than, for example, 300. So that means this is the average of the salary of all the people earning more than 300. But here then we can say, okay, we want them to add the same. I want to have the same. Want to use the average if, but then we are having more than one condition. So we can say, for example, this is for the salary, but whoever is having the salary greater than or less than 500, and also that person has made in Selena Hotel. You've entered few arguments for this function. So usually when you are working on average ifs, you need to have more than one criteria or one condition. So that means then here we need to put another something else that will be before closing this one. So also I will just select okay, GG, which is Serena, then the average that I need, it is for this one, which is the salaries. So that means then I will just have J to J, then I press enter. So there is a problem with this formula. Not trying to type a formula, type 1 plus 1. Okay, here the issue is, let's delete everything that we had from here. So the first thing, we want to calculate the average. Then the average will be having how many conditions? 2 conditions. As you can see, when you press on this function of yours, it will be just telling you the average ifs. Then when you click there, when you click on your average if, the first thing that it will be giving you, it will be giving you the ability to, so it is this one average ifs. Is equal to average ifs. When you go here, the first thing to be put is the average range. What do you want to take as the average? It is this salary. Second one is the criteria. Criteria 1, criteria 2, criteria 3, criteria 4. So the first one is this one. Then this first criteria is to have the salaries which is less than 500. This is an example. Secondly, we'll be having people who have made from Selena Hotel, which means then I close my parentheses, then I press enter. So usually this is the average of all the salaries of the people who are earning less than 500,000. Is it 500 or 5 million? It is 5 million. 500,000, and those people have made from Selena Hotel. So you can understand that average A, average ifs, all of these things, they are working the same, but the only difference is between where applicable and how many criteria or conditions that need to be met for the function to run. Continuing then to our functions, then we are going to continue with the round. Round usually will be helping you to round the number to a certain precision. Let me say, for example, you can come here and go to numbers, then you can see where it is written numbers. For example, you say, okay, I want these things to be numbers, but also you can say, for example, I want like 4 using these comma separators. You can see here we'll be having 4 numbers after comma, so we can also come back here and also say, for example, we want only 2 numbers, or why not 1, but let me say, for example, 2. So then here sometimes you can say I want to round this number. Sometimes you may be having a very big number but you want to round it up, so say round. So then here it is this one, for example, but also I want to round up to which number. I want 1 number after the precision, after the comma, so which means then my number is going to be, the G20 is going to be 10, just cause here it is not 5 or more, so this is why then I am getting this one. So it depends. Okay, as we know, then we also have the round up. The round up, usually it will be rounding to the maximum of 1. Round down, it will be rounding to the minimum of 0, which means if I say round up, round up, then I say, for example, this number, all this, let me even just say 1, this is an example. So then my number, it will be rounding to 90. Why? Because this is G16, which is this one also 90. So that means then the round up will not even just give me more than what I have. But let's say, for example, let me round down this 27, which means it will deduct the 7, then it put me to 2. So this 27 usually it is found on G14. So let me say, for example, I want to round down. My G14 to the precision of 1, and I press enter, which means you can see now it is going to be 20. But let me say, for example, I want to round up. I want to round up this number, round up the G14 using 1. So you can see now if it is up, it tells me, it gives me the upper number, but if it is down, then it minimizes the number to the lowest of 0. So these are the other formulas that then we needed to understand how they works and how everything is working. Continuing to our formulas, then let me say, for example, we want to add another column, and this column is going to be called commission. Then this commission is going to be given to the employees only who are found in production department. You can use the if condition. So here then, if, for example, if department is equal to production, if the logical test is this one, is equal to this, then what is the value if true? I'll be given to that person, for example, 20,000, and if the person is not from that one, I will give him 0, which means the first person is given 0. But let us see when we reach to this person number 5, you can see that this one has been given 20,000. So this is then how the if works. If you'll be having if the condition can be either greater or equal, something like that. Then you have if true, if the condition is true, what to be applied. You can say, for example, increase or even fire the person. So you can even just put here text: if you are fired, if this is this, you are fired, if this is this, you are, something like that. Depends on what you want to tell to the personnel who are in charge of viewing your report. So this is it. Then we can also go to, we can now go to ifs, which is when you are having many conditions. So you can say, for example, the people, that person will only be given the thing, they will only be given this commission if the earning is greater than, for example, 100. So using this one, so for example, we can say we want to give to the employees the categories. You can say it is called imp categories. Let me say, for example, anybody who is earning less than 250, that person is having visiting contract. Someone who is earning less than 1M is a regular contractual, and someone who is earning more than 1M, then he or she is a full employee. So let me say, for example, is what I am going to apply using ifs. So ifs, then this amount is greater than, is less than 250, then this employee is contractual, sorry, visiting. But then if is less than 1M, then you are a contractual. Otherwise, if it is greater than 1M, then full or regular. So usually here we are having different, the formula contains unrecognized text. Here we are having different conditions, and these conditions will only be fulfilled if we use ifs function. So going to ifs, usually you can click here on if condition, but then you can go to all your functions, then you go to if or to I, all your functions all are here. Like here we are having if error, if NA, there is no if S, so which means this function of yours will not be recognized in this Microsoft Office. So we'll be seeing then how can we troubleshoot and even sort out this issue so far. So we can see on trimming. Sometimes when you want to trim, let me say for example here there was some text here, some empty spaces. If you want to trim, then also you can just say okay, I want to trim. Trimming means removing the empty spaces before and after, so which means then it will be Kigali without any space. Sometimes this happens when you want to concatenate. You see that, oh, there was somewhere where I had some empty text, so you say let me first remove them before concatenating. You can do this in, let me say for example, I want to concatenate this one. Let me say for example, I want to concatenate this Kigali with the word Rwanda. If I want to concatenate this word with Kigali Rwanda, so if here I had, for example, you can see that I'm having all of these empty spaces. Let me say for example I had these empty spaces. You can see that these empty spaces will be applied here. But let me say for example, if you want first of all to trim, this one, then after trimming, then you say I want to concatenate after trimming. You can see now it will be like this. So these things will be in only one word. You can say for example here I want to put another new line, also not new line but the space, so that it will be well viewed. So this is how trim will be working. So thank you so much, thank you for today. So we will be continuing navigating more and more functions, as we have many. So usually if you want to know all the functions, you'll be finding them here. All of these are the functions that Excel has reserved to you. But then in these tutorials I'll be showing you the very useful and popular ones. Thank you so much. Continue to be blessed.